Now, please give a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, as we welcome Mr. Clifford Elk.
Mrs. Mbeki, trustees of the WDB board, management of Investment Holdings, WDB's investment partners, and most importantly, if you're out there, the beneficiaries of the WDB Trust. Faith Cornelia phoned me during the week to say she just wanted to check that I'm still coming because I hadn't answered the invite, and I have to say that I should have. I didn't. She said, look, we're expecting you and we're expecting you to speak as one of our long-standing partners. MRC has been a 20-year partner of WDB. So, I spent the week thinking about the journey that we've traveled together, and I reckoned 1 week per year, crafted a speech. Faith grabbed me outside. She said, there are multiple speakers, you've got 2 minutes. So I've been scrambling like mad, like looking at what the anecdotes and the reflections that I wanted to share with you in terms of this journey that we traveled. And I've only cherry-picked a couple of them. But my first interaction with WDB was a phone call I received. And I can't recall whether it was Mrs. Mbeki or Mrs. Mbeki's PA. Now, when I heard about the 2,000 Rand stipend, I suspect it was Mrs. Mbeki. And as all of you know, Mrs. Mbeki was married to Thabo Mbeki, who at the time was the deputy president of the ANC and the deputy president of the country and president of the ANC. And my response was, pull the other leg. Why is Mrs. Mbeki calling me? Turns out, I think, and this is my own narrative, that she had approached the National Union of Mine Workers for a donation to support her vision of building the Women's Development Bank. NUM was led at the time by James Motlatsi and another former president of South Africa, Kgalema Motlanthe. And I suspect what they were pretty good at is they deftly deflected her to come to me for the funds. So who was I? I was the CEO of a little-known and fledgling investment company called the Mine Workers Investment Company. We were a little older than 1 year. We had come into being because of the visionary and brave leadership of NUM, who understood that there had been a game change with the creation of our new democratic and legitimate state. Those foreign donors that had for years supported the anti-apartheid struggle were redirecting their funding to help build a functional and capable state. What this basically meant is those funds that had been dedicated to NUM's development agency, the MDA, as well as other organizations engaged in the struggle against apartheid, would soon wither up and dry. A new source of predictable and recurring funding was urgently required if NUM was going to be able to continue to support the development work for its constituents. So NUM created the Mine Workers Investment Trust in '95 with two very clear mandates. One to exclusively, and you can imagine controversially, to own the MRC, a commercial investment company. And the other to distribute the funds that we were charged with creating to support programs for their members and their families. We had been seeded with 3 million Rand, and I had to protect our limited funds to meet our own mandate. I couldn't afford to give any of it away. But Mrs. Mbeki's vision resonated with us. Her goal to assist and transform the lives of rural women through access to microloans directly overlapped our own development objectives, as so many mine workers and their families originated from the same rural labor sending areas. These were extended families. So notwithstanding that we didn't have the funds, we had to find a way to support this initiative. And of course, she was also going to be the new First Lady. MRC and RMB would underpin a loan of 500,000 Rand to enable WDB to acquire 200,000 shares in the HCR capital raising. I'm pleased to say that I read a report not so long ago prepared by Mrs. Mbeki in one of the WDB archives that WDB went on to net some 4 million Rand from this transaction, January 1997. I have no doubts that these funds were put to good use. After our first interaction in '96, MRC went on to build a long-lasting business relationship, co-investing and concluding a number of transactions jointly. In hindsight, it's been easy to maintain this relationship with WDB, even though both of our organizations have gone through successive management changes. I think this is largely the case because our ethos, our values, and our objectives are so aligned. It's always been uncomfortable for BE companies such as ourselves that to realize value, you had to sell the assets and terminate relationships. This is a private equity type of model which holds a short-term time horizon, which runs contrary to our goals of achieving long-term influence to transform business operations while still growing value and accessing free cash flow to support development projects. So in closing, I just have to say, I'm surprised that so few similar organizations, such as WDB and MRC, have emerged over the last 2 decades, because they offer such a compelling model of leveraging capital investments to support genuine social change. I would like to pay my respects to Mrs. Mbeki, the WDB board and management for a job well done. The first 25 years has come and gone in a flash. Your leadership has been consistent, the foundations are sound, and the trajectory remains positive. I am certain that WDB will continue for decades to unlock opportunities for women and transform their lives. My life experience and that of my colleagues has been uplifted by the opportunity to walk beside you. Thank you.